I'm here with Nando Rodriguez from Ogilvy. He'll be here to discuss about the role of social media as well as public relations with the Latino community as well as just in general. Nando, thank you for joining our show.
No problem.
What would you say are some of the pitfalls of public relations, maybe, just dealing with companies and different firms every day?
Some of the pitfalls.
Pitfalls being like not having a proper tool, using the proper tools of public relations and social media.
Well, when it comes to personal wise as well, I mean, I think that's what I focus on because I'm a recruiter for social media at Ogilvy and Mather. And so one of the things that I find is that when people are looking for a new position, they still haven't gotten it yet, which is people will be looking at your own social media profiles to make that next move. Should we call this person in for an interview or should we not? Sometimes as a recruiter, if you're looking to be hired in my division, which is the social media division, I need to see, are you using social media the right way? Do you know how to use it? And so one of the things I look for is, for example, I would go onto your Twitter page and I would be seeing, what is he tweeting about? I'm not so much trying to make a judgment call as to why I disagree with, if you're tweeting about Kareena Kapoor all day long, right? But it's just like, how is he doing it? Are people retweeting him, right? So I want to see the engagement. So my number one, the pitfall in personal social media when it comes to looking for a new job, I would say, is not being aware that people are looking at your social media profiles, and just be aware of how you're using social media if you are looking for a new role.
Okay, what would be some ways to improve your own personal, your social network tools and Twitter pages as well as Facebook? How would be some great ways to improve those tools?
So if you are in the market for a new job, right, the first thing that I would say is update your LinkedIn profile, because that is like something that as a recruiter, that's our first, tackle of offense that we go to. So we will look at your LinkedIn profile and check out what is it that you're doing, what is it that you've done, where it's basically your CV, your resume online, right? So if it's not filled out properly, if it's not robust, if it's not full of all this information, I may pass you over because you may be the best great strategist that ever lived. But if you don't know how to communicate that, or if it's not posted on LinkedIn, I'm not going to find you. So that's number one. Number two is, what can you do on Twitter is, I'm a big social media person to begin with anyway, so I use it in my personal life. So if you want to get into social media, you have to be using the social media tools. If you're not in social media and you're trying to get a position, outside of PR or what have you, I would just say, beware again that there are going to be some eyes all over your profiles. So beware of what you're tweeting and what your status updates are on Facebook.
And how important is it to catch on trending topics or just to be involved within the topics that are trending or very popular amongst, communities and different users out there in the social network?
So I would say it depends on what you're trying to use social media for, right? So, for example, I have a blog outside of work and it's dating and relationships. So, if there's a big conference going on in Miami that's all about dating and relationships, I want to be involved in that because I want to be in that community. So I would want to learn how to use a hashtag. I would want to learn, are there any Twitter chats going on that I can participate in? So it's basically how do you involve yourself in trends? It's what's the purpose of you being on social media? Is it just for fun? Is it you're trying to promote yourself, your blog, or you're trying to get a job? Right? So knowing what you're on social media platforms for is the number one thing that you have to do. And number two is, like you said, learn the trends. What are the trends? So you can stay on top of them.
And how would a firm decide what kind of candidate would be the right fit for the, such a larger firm decide what would be a right fit for a social media strategist or a public relations strategist?
So, every firm will vary interview process, right? And so I know for Ogilvy, the first thing is we screen the candidates. We want to make sure that we're speaking to the right people. And then the great thing about when you're doing the hiring process is it doesn't rely on just one person, right? So the person will actually interview, the candidate will interview with around 3 to 4, possibly 5 people. And then those people will all get together, trade feedback, and be like, is this the right person for the role? And that's great because, who wants to have your career lie solely on one person? So as for us, that's how it goes. Right? So it's like 3 to 4 people involved. We make a decision and then we hire or we don't hire.
And how would you say that social media has affected Latin American communities or just Latin communities in general, especially communicating within the United States?
Well, as we just learned from the panel, great panel with Jasmine Chavez and Layla Rivas, who is from Ogilvy as well, and Jasmine is a social activist. What they presented to us was that we're actually, the Latino community is actually producing a lot of content on the internet. That's something I myself didn't know. I was not aware of that, So that, somewhere in there, my blog got counted in there because I'm producing content as well. But a big thing is how much buying power we have. I was also unaware of how much that was. So that's really big, for the Latin community to stand up and say we need to be heard and we want to be recognized because we have major purchase power.
And how would you say it's affected the image of a Latino in America, especially with some of the biggest followings being for celebrities like George Lopez, Eva Longoria, even Carmelo Anthony embracing he's a Latin American, which you normally wouldn't see many times with athletes of mixed race. How do you think that's affected, positively for the Latin image? I
think that it's a great thing that these celebrities are coming out there, using social media, getting on social media, using it the proper way, because what it's doing is that, yeah, in a sense, they're out there because they want to expand their reach, right? So Eva Longoria is not doing it just because out of the goodness of her heart. Like, I love you, Eva, but we all know that she's on there because, there's another reason. Whether that reason is to help raise money for a charity or whether it's just to say, hey, this is the final season of Desperate Housewives. You guys please tune in. There's a reason behind it. Whatever it is, she's out there. So is George. And we just... I think it's a great thing because it shows us, the little Latin community population that's coming up behind us, that we are a voice and we are a force to be reckoned with.
And how do you think the long-term future looks for social media? And, it's a very trending topic and issue, but how do you think some of the long-term strategies will affect it, and where do you see it in the foreseen future?
Well, I think for a while, people thought that social media was going to go away like a bunch of bad roaches, right? And what they're discovering is that it's not going to go away. It's just, it's a lifestyle now, right? Everywhere you go, people have a smartphone. Everywhere you go, people have their laptops, their iPads. And it's just like technology is catching up to a lifestyle that we've come accustomed to. So social media, I don't think it's going to go away. The thing that we have to be looking for is what is going to be the next big thing, right? Facebook right now is definitely on top. It's number one, with Twitter right there behind it. And every day, literally, there's new social media platforms coming out. Pinterest, Avenue. There's just so many, and it's just like what's interesting is like what we as humans gravitate towards. Why did we eventually just fall off of Facebook and MySpace, and then all climb onto Facebook? Like, why? What happened there? So eventually, social media is just going to continue, but to what extent, we have no idea.
All right, thank you very much for your time and your brain about social media and how it's really improving within the human race, and bringing communities in to touch with issues that probably would have never been discussed before, or just bringing a larger culture, especially with the global communities.
Yeah, well, thank you guys. I think you're doing a great job, and I look forward to seeing more of your stuff.
All right,
thank you. Yep.